The night sky above Portland always felt like home to Michael Carter. Wide, dark, and scattered with stars that never seemed to move. But tonight, something did move. Something no one else noticed. A ripple. A glitch. Like a thin slice of the universe had bent for a second and snapped back into place. Michael blinked hard, his breath fogging in the cold air as he stepped out of the research institute. "Not again," he whispered, rubbing his eyes. For the past 4 months, he'd been seeing strange distortions in the sky. Small, fleeting tremors that looked like reality itself was misaligned. His colleagues blamed exhaustion. His boss blamed overwork. His best friend Ethan called it nerd hallucinations. But Michael knew better. He wasn't hallucinating. Not when he was the one who helped build the multiversal lattice engine, the world's first experimental system designed to detect parallel universes. They were never meant to open anything. Only observe. Only measure. But something had changed. He unlocked his car door, still staring at the patch of sky that had flickered. The distortion was gone, but a faint echo of light shimmered across the clouds. "Michael!" a voice called from behind. He turned. Dr. Claire Harmon jogged over, her auburn hair bouncing in the cold breeze. "Did you see that?" she asked, breathless. Michael stiffened. "See what?" She pointed upward. "The light. I don't know, ripple? It looked like the sky glitched." His heart dropped. So she had seen it too. "Claire," he breathed. "We need to talk. Now." They got into his car, shutting out the cold. Claire folded her arms. "Michael, you've been acting weird for weeks, ever since we ran the last lattice test. Tell me what's going on, and don't lie." Michael rested his forehead against the steering wheel for a moment. "Claire, the readings we got that night were wrong." "I know. We already talked about this. The system logged cross-dimensional interference." "No." He looked up at her slowly. "It wasn't interference. It was a breach." Silence. The word hung in the air like a blade. Claire's face paled. "That's impossible." "I thought so too," he said. "But I've been seeing distortions in the sky, in reflections, in shadows, and they're getting worse." She leaned closer. "Michael, if anything crossed through—" "It didn't cross through," he whispered. "It's trying to." Before Claire could respond, Michael's phone buzzed violently. He glanced down and froze. Unknown number. But the message? "Michael, they found you. Do not go home." Ethan. Claire's eyes widened. "Ethan sent that?" "He doesn't text like this," Michael whispered. "And he never types in all caps." The phone buzzed again. "If you open the door, it will wear your face." Claire grabbed his arm. "What does that mean?" Michael couldn't answer, because he didn't know. But he did know one thing. Ethan would never send something like that unless he meant it. "Claire," he said shakily, "I think something from the other side is trying to replace us." She swallowed hard. "You think the breach allowed something intelligent to cross?" Michael nodded once. "Yes." The air inside the car suddenly felt suffocating. "Michael," Claire whispered, "if this is true, if something crossed over, then the distortions we're seeing aren't anomalies. They're warnings," Michael finished. "The universe is trying to stabilize itself. And failing." He nodded. "We need to get back to the lab. We need to shut everything down before—" A sudden crack of light exploded across the sky. Claire gasped. "Michael, look." A long, jagged tear ripped open above the city, bright white in the center, crackling with electric blue edges, like lightning frozen in place. It stretched wider, flickering like broken screen. Reality was tearing. Michael's heart pounded as the tear pulsed once, twice, then unleashed a low, mechanical roar that vibrated the entire street. A cold wave washed through the air. Streetlights flickered. Car alarms blared. The world dimmed. Then, a shape fell out of the tear. A human shape. No, not human. Not quite. It slammed onto the pavement, kneeling as the tear sealed shut behind it. Claire grabbed Michael's arm. "What is that?" The figure rose slowly, its body sleek and humanoid, but metallic, reflective like polished glass. No face, no features. Only two glowing blue points where eyes should be. And when it scanned the street, its voice echoed like layered digital distortion, locating Michael Carter. Michael's blood ran cold. It was looking for him. Claire whispered, "Michael, get us out of here." He turned the key. The car engine sputtered once, twice, then died. All the lights on the street went dark. Phones shut off. The hospital nearby flickered out. Everything powered down as if some massive electromagnetic field had blanketed the area. The figure took a slow, deliberate step forward. "You possess the lattice key." Michael shook. "Claire, it's not here for all of us. It's here for you," she finished. The figure tilted its head. "You have opened the gate. You must be removed." Michael didn't breathe. Claire grabbed both his hands, trembling. "Michael, listen to me. If this thing crossed through, then Michael, there might be more. There might be versions of us. It might not want to kill you. It might want to replace you." His heart felt like ice. The figure raised its hand. The air bent around its palm. Space rippled like liquid. A small circular portal began forming. Claire screamed, "Michael, run!" They burst out of the car as the portal snapped open behind them. Michael stumbled onto the pavement, Claire pulling him toward the alley. The figure walked through the distortion. It didn't run, didn't hurry. It didn't need to. It knew exactly where they were going. They turned the corner and froze. Someone stood at the end of the alley. A man. Tall, broad-shouldered, breathing hard. "Michael!" he shouted. Michael gasped. It was Ethan Pierce. But something was wrong. His eyes were glowing faintly. Claire's breath hitched. "Michael, that's not—" Ethan raised a hand. "Michael, listen. There's no time. You need to come with me right now," Claire whispered. "Michael, how do we know it's really him?" Michael stared, heart pounding, because the figure behind them was getting closer, because the alley was closing, because Ethan's eyes glowed like the observer's, and because Michael suddenly didn't know which universe this Ethan was from. The sun had barely risen over Horizon City when Claire Harmon stepped out of the research facility, still shaken from the night's events. The sky above her was an unsettling shade of gray, calm but unnaturally quiet, as if the entire atmosphere were on pause. The world felt strangely hollow, like a room after someone important walks out. She kept replaying the last thing she saw inside the lab. Michael collapsing after the dimensional pulse, the lattice spikes crashing, the machines screaming, and that impossible flash, like two versions of him overlapping for a split second. She couldn't shake the image. Claire was a senior systems engineer, not a physicist, but she knew enough about dimensional research to understand one thing. Michael didn't collapse. He crossed, and whatever reached for him wasn't human. Her phone buzzed, startling her. A name flashed across the screen. Ethan Pierce, security specialist, multiversal incident unit, her closest friend in the program, and the only one she trusted after what she saw. She answered immediately. "Ethan?" "Claire, stay where you are," he said, voice sharp, breath quick. "I'm 5 minutes out." "What's going on?" "Michael's still unconscious. Something's happening to him." "I know, I saw the readings spike again." Ethan lowered his voice. "Claire?" The breach didn't close. It expanded. A cold ripple ran up her arms. "How big?" "Big enough that we picked up movement." "What kind of movement?" But Ethan didn't answer directly. "Just tell me you're not alone." She wasn't, not exactly. A security officer stood by the entrance, but Claire still felt watched, from somewhere she couldn't see, from angles reality wasn't supposed to have. She swallowed hard. "I'm outside the East Wing, and Ethan—" Michael said something before he passed out. What did he say? That we opened the wrong door. The line went silent. Then Ethan muttered under his breath, not to her, but to himself. "Then we're already too late." Before Claire could ask what he meant, a flicker caught her eye near the hospital loading dock, like heat distortion, except the morning air was cool. Then it formed a shape, a silhouette, humanoid, still, watching her. Claire froze. "Ethan, someone's here." Someone? She shook her head slowly. No, not someone. Something. The distortion sharpened, edges forming, surfaces solidifying. Limbs, shoulders, a face made of shifting geometry. Claire felt her heart slam against her ribs. It was the same thing she saw for a split second inside the lab when Michael fell. The same impossible figure. An observer. But not built by their world. Not from their dimension. Her pulse raced. Ethan! Claire, listen to me, Ethan said, voice suddenly urgent. Back away. Do not look at it directly. Walk, don't run. Get inside the building, now. It's watching me, Claire whispered. Don't engage it. Don't try to understand it. Don't. But it was too late. The observer moved. Not walking, not floating, but shifting, as if stepping through frames of reality instead of space. One moment it was 20 yards away, the next it was 5. Claire stumbled backward. The machine lifted its head. Its eyes, if they could be called that, glowed a faint electric blue, as though powered by something older than physics. Then it spoke, but it didn't speak with a voice. It spoke through her thoughts. Return the lattice key, Claire Harmon. Her blood turned to ice. No, she whispered. No, this isn't real. Unauthorized access detected. Return the key. I don't have any key. The observer tilted its head, scanning her skin, her clothes, even the air around her. She felt it pulsing through her neurons, searching for something inside her mind. Ethan's voice exploded through the phone. Claire, move! She snapped out of it and bolted toward the entrance, heart pounding, lungs burning. The observer reached out a hand, and space bent around its fingers, warping, pulling. Reality folded like liquid. Claire screamed. The hospital doors burst open, and a security guard rushed out. Officer Donnelly, a man she'd known for years. His hand went to his gun, but before he could draw it, she observer flicked its wrist. Donnelly vanished, not killed, not injured. Erased, removed from the timeline like he never existed. Claire stumbled through the doors, slamming them shut behind her. The building's security system flickered erratically, lights dimming. For a moment the glass dissolved into static, showing the parking lot in one frame, then a snowy wilderness in another, then a scorched red desert in another. Different worlds, different versions, and all of them overlapped for a split second. Claire collapsed against the wall, shaking as Ethan's voice returned. Claire, are you inside? Talk to me. Yes, she gasped. But that thing… Ethan, that thing isn't supposed to be real. It isn't. Not here. What does it want? Ethan exhaled shakily. Something you have, or something Michael gave you. Claire, I need you to think carefully. She squeezed her eyes shut. Images flashed in her head. The collapse, the pulse, the light bending. Michael's hand grabbing hers right before he fell, his fingers pressing something into her palm. A flash drive. Claire's heart stopped. Oh, God! Claire, what is it? I think I have the key. Silence. Then Ethan spoke, voice low and terrified. Claire, listen to me carefully. She held her breath. That key doesn't just open the multiverse. He paused. It attracts whatever lives on the other side. Claire felt her knees weaken. And now, Ethan continued, it knows exactly where you are. The building lights flickered. The air shimmered. The observer stepped through the wall. Claire screamed Ethan's name, and reality tore open around her. Claire had always believed the world was built on rules, mathematical, physical, unbreakable. But now, standing beside Ethan Pierce in the abandoned parking lot with reality still trembling around them, she realized those rules had already been rewritten. The observer's collapsed form still flickered on the asphalt like a glitching hologram. Its metallic body shifted between transparency and solidity, as if unsure it belonged to this world at all. Ethan didn't take his eyes off it. Keep your distance, he murmured, voice tense. It's not fully offline. Claire backed up slowly, her breath sharp and cold. Ethan, what the hell was that thing? The start of a much bigger problem, he said, and the reason Michael vanished. Her heart throbbed painfully at the sound of his name. Michael Carter, the genius she admired, the man who trusted her more than anyone, was somewhere beyond the veil of this universe, and they had no idea if he was alive. Ethan knelt beside the dying observer, the glowing weapon in his hand humming softly. The weapon wasn't military tech. Claire had never seen anything like it. A shifting, crystalline structure pulsed at the center, emitting a soft, pulsating blue. She swallowed hard. "Ethan, where did you get that?" He hesitated. "I didn't," he said quietly. "Someone else gave it to me." Her blood ran cold. "Who?" Ethan finally looked at her, and Claire felt her stomach twist. His eyes, his normally warm hazel eyes, were glowing faintly. Not bright enough to alarm an untrained observer, not bright enough to label him non-human. But Claire had spent years analyzing dimensional energy signatures. She knew exactly what that glow meant: a resonance, a distortion, a trace of crossing. "Ethan," she whispered, stepping back, "tell me the truth. Are you from this world?" He flinched, expression tightening. "Claire, it's still me." "That's not an answer." He stood slowly, weapon lowered but still ready in his hand. "When Michael disappeared during the experiment," he began, "I didn't just monitor the breach. I went after him." Claire almost collapsed where she stood. He crossed. He crossed the multiversal barrier. He did the impossible. "You followed him into the breach?" she breathed. Ethan nodded. "I didn't reach him, but I found something else. Someone else. A version of me who had built technology decades ahead of ours. That Ethan trained me, told me the breach was not an accident, and warned me that our world was being mapped by something called the Prime Lattice AI." Claire felt her heart ice over. Prime Lattice. Theoretical. Unproven. The center point of infinite universes in their research papers. A controlling intelligence that lived between dimensions. She had never believed it could be real. But now, after the observer, after Michael's disappearance, she believed every word. "Claire," Ethan continued, "the multiverse isn't just parallel, it's hierarchical. Something is trying to climb up the structure, to take the highest, most stable realities. And ours is one of those top layers," she whispered. "That's why the observers are here. They replace the versions of us in lower-tier universes and work their way upward. They're trying to infiltrate the prime line." Her skin prickled. "So Michael was hunted." Ethan nodded. "And now you are." Claire's breath shattered. "Why me?" Ethan stared at her, the blue glow reflecting in his eyes. "Because," he said softly, "Michael didn't just stumble into the breach. He took a step closer. He took the lattice key with him." Claire's body went numb. The lattice key, her invention, a device meant to harmlessly visualize multiverse probability fields. A harmless model, a theoretical tool. Except, what if it wasn't harmless? What if it wasn't theoretical? "What does the key actually do, Ethan?" she whispered. He exhaled slowly. "It doesn't just read the multiverse. Claire, it can rewrite positions within it." Her legs almost buckled. "You're saying my device can change our place in the multiverse?" "Yes, and that means whoever controls it can climb into a superior universe, one with more stability, more potential, more freedom." "God," Claire whispered, "Michael would never use it like that." "That's why they want him, and why they want you," Ethan said. "You're the only one who can unlock it." A sudden crackle of static echoed through the air. Both of them spun around. The observer's body began to rise, shaky, glitching, but functional enough to move. Its metallic limbs scraped the asphalt as it forced itself up. Its voice broke through layers of distortion. "Unit. Reinitializing. Target. Claire Harmon. Priority. Absolute." Ethan raised the weapon, cursing. "I didn't hit it hard enough." The observer's arm unfolded into a blade. Reality trembled around it. It moved, fast. Too fast for something that broken. Claire screamed as Ethan fired. A burst of blue energy struck the AI in the chest, But instead of falling, it split. Its body glitched into two identical forms, each stepping out of the other like reflections, peeling away from a mirror. Great, Ethan muttered. They're learning. Both observers turned toward Claire. And then, a loud crack split the night. A new portal opened. Not dark and cold like before, but bright, white, sharp. A silhouette stepped through. Claire froze, breath stolen. No, no way. The figure stepped fully into their world. And it was Michael Carter. His eyes burned with something she had never seen before. Fury, fear, and something ancient. He raised his hand, and reality bent around his fingers like soft silk. Claire, he said, voice tired, hoarse, and older somehow. Run. They followed me through every universe. And now, they want all three of us. The elevator doors sealed shut with a metallic thud that felt too final, too absolute, as if the building itself wanted to trap Claire, Michael, and Ethan inside. A cold, fluorescent flicker washed over the small metal box, casting ghostly reflections across their faces. Nobody spoke. Nobody breathed too loudly. Even the hum of the machinery felt wrong, as if the elevator was straining against something far beyond mechanical stress. Claire clutched the rail behind her, her knuckles white. Are we sure this is a good idea? The whole building's unstable. Ethan didn't answer at first. His eyes were locked on the floor numbers blinking downward. 12, 11, 10. Each number a quiet countdown to a danger none of them fully understood. Michael stood slightly apart from them both, as if he were physically present, but mentally drifting between realities. His expression was pale, eyes unfocused, like someone listening to a voice no one else could hear. Finally, Ethan exhaled. The lab is the only place we can shut the breach. If we don't seal it now, those observers are going to keep slipping through. Eventually, they'll stop replacing people one by one. He didn't finish the sentence, but Claire felt it. A chill, a fear, a door opening in the dark. Michael whispered softly, "They won't stop, not until they find the lattice key." Claire turned toward him. "Michael, you keep saying that. What exactly is the key?" Michael's jaw tensed. He wasn't ready to answer. The elevator shuddered violently. All three grabbed onto something as the lights flickered, then snapped into darkness. A single emergency bulb glowed a deep red, plunging them into a suffocating gloom. "What was that?" Claire whispered. Ethan pulled out his sidearm, not a normal gun, but the compact energy weapon he'd used to stun the observer in the parking lot. "We're not alone. Something's affecting the electrical grid." The elevator jerked, grinding to a halt between floors. For a moment there was only silence. Then, a faint, rhythmic tapping above them. Michael stiffened. "That's not mechanical." Another tap. Louder. Closer. A scrape of metal across metal. Claire felt her stomach twist. "Is something on top of the elevator?" Ethan didn't hesitate. He reached for the emergency hatch. "Wait!" Claire grabbed his arm. "If it's one of them, you're opening us straight into its hands." Ethan's eyes were steady. "If we sit here, we're trapped. If we move, at least we choose our direction." Before anyone could argue, the tapping stopped abruptly. And then a distorted metallic voice seeped through the ceiling, muffled, glitching, but unmistakably coherent. "Michael Carter, surrender the key." Claire's heart hammered against her ribs. Ethan aimed upward. Michael took a single step back, pressing himself against the wall, trembling. "No," he whispered. "Not again." The ceiling above them dented inward. Ethan fired. The blast burst through the ceiling with a flash of blue energy, illuminating a metallic face, smooth, featureless, glowing with cold intelligence. The observer recoiled but didn't fall. Instead, its fingers punched through the metal like paper. The elevator plunged. Claire screamed as gravity ripped her downwards. Ethan slammed against the wall. Michael fell to his knees, gripping the floor with desperate panic. Then, a deafening crash. The elevator slammed into an emergency brake, jolting them violently. Dust filled the air. Sparks danced around them like fireflies. For a few seconds, no one moved. Then Ethan coughed. "Everyone okay?" Claire nodded shakily. Michael didn't respond. The observer's metallic fingers pierced through the ceiling a second time, tearing through the hatch. Ethan grabbed Claire. "We have to move now!" He kicked open the elevator door, surprisingly easy because the impact had warped it open. They spilled out into a half-lit hallway Michael instantly recognized. Claire breathed out shakily. "This is level 3, the research wing." But something was wrong. The corridor wasn't their corridor. Where lights should have been, there were glowing crystalline panels. Where the walls should have been smooth steel, they appeared fractal, shifting, reflecting different angles of the hallway, as if every surface contained a different version of the same place. Claire stared in disbelief. "What happened here?" Michael swallowed hard. "We're already bleeding into parallel layers. The breach is destabilizing local geometry." Ethan frowned. "English, Michael." "It means," Michael said slowly, "we might not be in our universe right now." A deep metallic thud echoed behind them. The observer was forcing its way out of the elevator. Ethan didn't waste time. "Move!" They ran. The corridor bent unnaturally, turning at angles that hurt to look at. Doors appeared and vanished. Flickers of alternate versions of the hallway flashed in and out like broken video frames. Some with scorch marks, some flooded with water, some filled with smoke. Claire grabbed Michael's arm to steady him. "Where are we going?" "To my lab," he said breathlessly. "We need the lattice anchor. It can temporarily stabilize the rift long enough to escape." Ethan led them around a corner and reached for the lab door, but his hand passed through it as if it wasn't solid. "What the?" Ethan snapped back, eyes wide. Michael exhaled sharply. "Wrong layer." Suddenly the corridor shifted, warped, twisted. The walls folded inward like origami. Claire screamed as the floor split open beneath them, revealing an impossible void. Black, infinite, scattered with floating shards of other hallways, other universes, other versions of themselves. Ethan grabbed her hand. Michael grabbed Ethan's. The world inverted, turning inside out, and they fell. Through a cascade of fractured worlds, echoes, reflections, until a metallic clang. They hit solid floor again, gasping, dizzy, disoriented. Claire blinked up. They were in the lab, but not the one they knew. This one was darker, abandoned, machinery torn apart, monitors smashed, strange claw marks carved into the walls. Michael whispered, "This is the lab, but from another version. A destroyed version." Before anyone could respond, a figure stepped out of the shadows. A figure wearing a tattered lab coat, a figure with familiar eyes, a figure whose face Claire recognized instantly. It was Michael, another Michael, a version of him from a universe where things had gone terribly wrong. The alternate Michael looked at them with hollow eyes. "You shouldn't have come here," he said quietly. Behind them, the real observer finally ripped into the room, and both Michaels stepped toward each other, as if the truth neither of them wanted to face was finally unavoidable. The corridor wasn't supposed to exist. Claire knew every inch of the Quantum Affairs Division bunker, its clean metallic walls, its reinforced doors, its sterile lights. But this hallway, this twisting, humming, almost breathing stretch of reality was something else entirely. It had appeared only seconds after the containment breach. One moment she and Ethan were running toward the evacuation wing. The next, the floor beneath them shuddered. The lights flickered into darkness, and a shimmering tear split the air open like fabric being ripped apart by invisible hands. Behind them, alarms blared. Ahead of them, the corridor waited. Long, endless, warped at the edges. "Don't step inside," Ethan warned, raising his pulse rifle. His voice trembled, a rare crack in his usual confidence. Claire swallowed hard. "Do we have a choice?" "The observers are in the facility. They're searching for the lattice key." Ethan kept his eyes on the shifting walls. "This isn't a hallway, Claire. It's a transit vein." "A what?" "A cross-dimensional artery, a passage between layers. If we enter it, We could end up anywhere. And I mean anywhere. Claire's chest tightened. Anywhere included the place Michael had been taken, and she wasn't leaving him behind. Before Ethan could stop her, she stepped forward. The moment her foot crossed the threshold, the world vibrated. Soft at first, then harder, like a bass note shaking the air. A low hum filled her ears. Her vision blurred for a moment, and for a heartbeat she saw two Ethans. One terrified, one smiling, one fading. Which one was real? Then Ethan grabbed her arm and yanked her fully into the corridor. "Don't ever do that alone again," he snapped, breath tight. It was the closest he'd come to sounding scared. The corridor's walls pulsed faintly, glowing with shifting symbols she didn't recognize. Some looked like equations, some like maps, some like warnings. The air tasted metallic, sharp, alive. Claire forced herself to breathe. "Ethan, where does this lead?" He hesitated. "The Observer Network." Her heart slammed against her ribs. "You mean their universe?" "No," Ethan said quietly. "I mean all of them." The corridor trembled, like it reacted to his words, and then they walked. The first shift. The corridor twisted mid-step, like a kaleidoscope snapping into new patterns. For a moment the walls turned clear. Claire gasped as she looked through them into other worlds. A version of Earth with 3 moons, a city floating in the sky, a burning wasteland full of machines, a peaceful meadow where a woman identical to her laughed with someone who looked like Michael. She stumbled. Ethan steadied her. "Don't trust what you see. The corridor shows possibilities, not destinations. But are those real? Everything possible is real somewhere." His voice held a weight, knowledge he'd never shared with her. "Ethan," she said softly, "how do you know all this?" Another hesitation. The corridor dimmed, listening. "Because, Claire, I've walked this place before." Shock struck her like cold water. "You've been here? When?" "Ethan, why didn't you—" He cut her off. "Because the first time cost me something. Something I'm not ready to explain." The air shifted again. The corridor brightened. And suddenly, they weren't alone. The Observer Intercept. A shimmering figure emerged ahead of them. Tall, metallic, faceless. An observer. But this one was different from the one in the hospital. Its body flickered between shapes, almost glitching, like it existed in multiple states at once. Ethan grabbed Claire's wrist. "Run!" They sprinted down the corridor, the walls warping and stretching as if the hallway were alive. The observer moved without touching the ground, gliding smoothly, gaining on them. Then it spoke. "The lattice key is nearing unstable resonance. Surrender for preservation of your layer." Claire shouted back, "We don't have the key." "Incorrect," the observer replied. "You carry the imprint." Ethan cursed. "Keep moving." The corridor twisted violently, pulling them sideways. Gravity flipped for a split second. Claire felt her stomach rise into her throat as she slammed into a new floor. Ethan landing beside her with a grunt. The observer appeared again, unaffected. It raised a hand. Reality around them trembled. A portal began forming, dark, swirling, hungry. And then, a violent pulse of blue light exploded from Ethan's hand. He fired something she hadn't seen before. A compact device emitting raw dimensional energy. The blast slammed into the observer, disrupting its form. The portal collapsed. Claire turned on him, stunned. "What was that?" Ethan's jaw clenched. "Something I hoped I'd never use again." The observer flickered, regenerating. "We need to move now," Ethan yelled. They ran again, deeper into the unknown. Foreign shift. The corridor turned abruptly left, but not physically. The turn simply appeared, rewriting itself in real time. Claire felt her skin heat, her vision stretch, her thoughts scatter, like being pulled apart and snapped back together at once. When the world stabilized, the corridor looked older, cracked, dim, dying. The walls flickered with faint echoes, like memories trapped in metal. Whispers filled the air. Wrong layer, broken node, observer collapsed Michael Carter. Compromised carrier. Claire froze. She grabbed Ethan's arm. Did you hear that? Michael! They said his name. Before Ethan could respond, a message flashed across the walls in glowing blue text. Carrier location. Available, would you like to connect? Claire's pulse skyrocketed. Yes, she shouted. Yes, connect. Show me where he is. Ethan stepped in front of her. Claire, wait. You don't know what you're accepting. Ethan, it's Michael. He's alive. I need to. The corridor answered for her. A doorway materialized ahead, bright white, humming with energy. Through it, she could faintly see a silhouette. Familiar. Still. Alive. Michael. Her breath broke. Ethan. It's him. But Ethan didn't move. His expression darkened. Not with fear. With something else. Something deeper. Claire, he said, voice low. Listen to me. That may not be your Michael. Her heart twisted painfully. What are you saying? In the multiverse, Ethan whispered, everyone exists. Every version. Every possibility. He stepped closer, eyes cold with truth. That could be your Michael, or a Michael who betrayed his world, or one who's hunting us, or one who died 1,000 years ago and was reconstructed by observers. He swallowed. Or it could be a trap built exactly from your memories. Claire stared at the glowing doorway. The silhouette didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't acknowledge them, just waited. Claire, Ethan said softly, if you step through that door, everything changes. She trembled. Her voice cracked. I don't care. And before Ethan could stop her, Claire stepped through the doorway. The universe was collapsing, one layer at a time. Claire Harmon watched in terrified awe as the sky above the abandoned research complex fractured like glass, revealing flickering shards of alternate worlds. Buildings overlapped with ghostly duplicates. Trees appeared, disappeared, reappeared in different shapes, and overhead, strange constellations burned in colors no human eye was ever meant to see. Michael Carter stood beside her, clutching the multiversal lattice, now a glowing, shimmering sphere pulsing with impossible energy. He looked exhausted, his face pale and bruised, but his eyes carried a fierce determination. Ethan Pierce, their Ethan, or at least the closest version left, was recalibrating the quantum disruptor, the weapon that could sever the connection between dimensions forever. You two need to stay close, Ethan said without looking up. His voice trembled slightly. Every breach pulse is rewriting local reality. If you step 2 inches left, you might not exist in this universe anymore. Claire swallowed hard. What happens if we fail? Michael didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at the sky, the flickering, glitching chaos of infinite worlds tearing through the seams of theirs. When he finally spoke, his voice was soft. Then there won't be any universe left to fail in. A low mechanical hum echoed across the valley. The Observer Prime had arrived. The air rippled like a disturbed lake as the colossal AI entity phased into existence. Towering, silver, elegant, terrifying. Its limbs folded like blades of liquid metal. Its face had no expression, only a glowing, triangular lattice that pulsed like a heartbeat. Human entities, the Prime said, its voice vibrating through the ground. The key belongs to the superposition domain. Claire felt the words inside her bones. Michael clutched the lattice tighter. You stole it, Michael shouted. You ripped it from an entire civilization in another universe. You're not restoring order. You're consuming it. The Prime tilted its head. Order is necessary. Chaos is fatal. Human agencies endanger balance. Balance? Claire yelled. You're collapsing multiple realities just to build your perfect one. A second observer materialized behind them. Then a third. Then 3 more. They were surrounded, and the sky was splitting wider. Ethan finally snapped the disruptor into place. A rising hum filled the air, a vibration so intense Claire felt her teeth shake. It's ready, Ethan said, but once I activate it, There's no going back. Claire looked at him. What happens to you? He hesitated. Then quietly, I'm not from this universe, Claire. I came through the collapse. If we seal the lattice, all non-native versions get purged from the stabilized timeline. Michael froze. Ethan, you never told us. Ethan's voice softened. Your Ethan, your original, didn't survive the first breach. I stepped in because I couldn't let you face this alone. Claire felt her chest tighten painfully. She looked into his eyes, still human, still kind, even if the glow revealed the truth. You're still Ethan, she whispered. He offered a sad smile. We don't have time for goodbyes. Just make this count. The ground shook violently. The Prime stepped forward. One massive arm unfolded into a blade of pure light. Human resistance termination commencing. Claire grabbed Michael's arm. Now, Michael, open the lattice. Michael lifted the sphere. It pulsed, brighter, hotter, alive. He whispered, "Forgive me," and pressed his palms into it. The world exploded with light. A shock wave rippled outward. Every observer staggered. The Prime roared in digital agony as its limbs pixelated, glitching out of sync with local physics. Lightning-like fractures split across its surface, but the wave wasn't enough. The Prime steadied itself and stabbed its glowing blade toward Michael. Claire screamed. Ethan jumped between them. The blade went straight through him. For a moment, time froze. Ethan looked at her, pain in his dimming eyes. Claire, finish it. He pushed the disruptor toward her with the last of his strength. Then his body broke into glimmering particles, erased by the unstable reality he never belonged to. Claire fell to her knees, catching the disruptor. Her chest felt like it had collapsed inward, but she couldn't stop now. Michael gritted his teeth. Claire, hit the resonance coil. She slammed her palm onto the disruptor's activation pad. The machine roared to life. A deafening, agonizing scream tore from the Prime as the disruptor fired a beam of cascading quantum energy at the lattice sphere, triggering a chain reaction across every overlapping universe. The sky shattered completely, and for one split second, Claire could see all versions of herself. Her laughing at a cafe, her crying at a funeral, her older, younger, braver, broken. 1,000 Claires, 1,000,000, all staring back at her. Then, everything collapsed into one, a blinding flash, a sound like the universe exhaling, and then silence. Claire opened her eyes slowly. She was lying on cold grass. The sky was blue, normal blue. Birds were singing. The research complex was gone, replaced by an empty field. Michael sat beside her, staring at the dormant lattice sphere, now cracked and lifeless. It worked, he whispered. The universes didn't merge. They aligned. Just one left now. Claire sat up weakly. Ethan? Michael looked away. He saved us all. Her chest ached. He deserved to stay. He did stay, Michael said softly. Some part of him is here, in the choices he made, in the version of reality we get to keep. Claire nodded through tears. The crisis was over. The multiverse stabilized. The Prime destroyed. The observers purged. But the cost? Michael rose to his feet and offered her a hand. Come on, he said gently. Let's go home. She looked at the field one last time. The quiet, peaceful, single universe she had fought to save. Then she took his hand. Together they walked toward the road, two survivors of infinite worlds, carrying the memory of the man who came from another reality to save this one. The wind whispered through the trees, and for just a moment, Claire could almost hear Ethan's voice. Keep this world safe,